Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Z. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in transgender care. Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to talk to you about the importance of social immersion or social integration. What exactly is social integration and social immersion? And two main benefits that I see for people when they do actually socially immerse themselves. These are the two main benefits that I see benefiting them again and again and again. So let's talk about social immersion and social integration. Both are pretty much have to do with the exact same thing. It's just a different way of saying it. Essentially, what it is putting yourself into social situations, social context that are broader, that are bigger, that are larger, that are saturated with variety of experiences, both gender-wise, both demographic-wise, both situation-wise, in any different sphere, in any different kind of context. It's just putting yourself basically in a petri dish that is much bigger and has much bigger scope of experiences that it can offer you. That is what a social integration or immersion is. It's literally immersing yourself into social situations that are novel for you, that are new for you, that are something that maybe you wanted to do but have been scared to do or scared to consider to do, something that you haven't experienced yet. So think about it that way. You see, when you start to either just explore your gender identity, realize you have gender dysphoria, transition, or even when you have completed your transition, what happens, and I'm putting a diagram right now on a screen, what happens is this. See the ship in the center of the ocean. Well, the ship in the center of the ocean is you. That is your starting point. Oftentimes, when you start, your starting point is going to be kind of your anchor, kind of your base station. And in the beginning, because things are difficult, things are scary, you're still struggling with confidence, you're struggling with so many other challenges, what happens is your comfort zone, your base station, becomes isolation. Many of you, in fact, engage in isolation because it feels safe. Because when you're isolating, you don't have to be out and about, you don't have to be around other people, and therefore you don't have to confront dysphoria around other folks. This is why COVID was, in a way, a blessing to so many, because it created a forced isolation, if you will, because all of us had to quarantine. And for a lot of people, it actually brought a lot of relief, because suddenly you didn't have to go and confront people or confront coworkers or just confront people out there in the supermarket, especially for those of you who are going through gender transition and are not fully confident yet, and maybe going through some changes yet, external changes especially. So isolation for a lot of you becomes what we psychologists like to call your current comfort zone. Your current comfort zone, that's a place where you feel currently comfortable. That's the place where you feel safe. That's the place you have created for yourself. And because it feels safe and comfortable, you're going to have a lot of resistance branching out from that comfort zone. Notice how outside of this comfort zone on a diagram, the next level of comfort zone for a lot of you are going to be queer spaces. What are queer spaces? Queer spaces are any kind of situations, any kind of contextual places, spaces, groups that have LGBTQ individuals. In other words, it has people that are open-minded about gender identity. It has people that are open-minded about so many other things. And because there are people that are more open-minded about gender, you feel much more comfortable and secure in queer spaces. So maybe this is your current LGBTQ group. Maybe it is some of your friends who are trans themselves or non-binary themselves identified. Maybe it is online groups, maybe it is Reddit groups, maybe it is you following other social online account. Even watching and being subscriber to my channel is considered to be queer space, because this is a safe and inclusive place, and we talk about gender issues here. And because it's safe and inclusive space, this is going to be your second zone of comfort. So for you to make a leap from where your ship is stationed, from isolation, from being home all by yourself and not interacting with anybody at all, for you to make a leap to go to queer space is not going to be very difficult. For some of you, it might be more challenging depending on how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem, your confidence, where you're at in your transition. But for a lot of you, by far and large, it's not going to be very difficult. It's not going to be very difficult for you to leave a comment on this channel because you know that 99%, apart from 1% of haters, whatever, 99% of people who are commenting are people like you. One way or another, they have some kind of concern or issues about their gender. So you know that you're safe. You know that they will understand. You know that they will be able to resonate, that they will be able to offer you some kind of feedback or advice. So this is the second space of comfort. Now, the next one outside of that is what I call now social immersion, social integration. Think about it now. This is a bigger, broader space where all of those spaces coexist, where a queer space can coexist together with other social spaces. But by far and large, this is a bigger, wider scope of space where people of all types of genders exist. There's lots of cis folks there. There's a lot of trans. There's a lot of gender queers. There's a lot of non-conforming people. There's just a whole bunch of different people having very different life experiences. And what also makes this space socially infused with potential experiences is because all of these people are doing things that a lot of times have nothing to do with gender. These are your broader, huge interactions. Going to a restaurant, for example, going to a concert, going to see a movie, joining a book club, joining a wine club, joining a painting club, going on a hike, being in the gym around all the other folks. This is, in other words, really a contextual strata of life out there beyond the cocoon of isolation, which is home, and beyond the comfort of queer spaces. Queer spaces are very specific, right? They are specific for particular people holding the same interest. Beyond that space, now we're talking about all kind of interests in people and demographics and genders, all coming across each other. It's like a melting pot. That's a good word. It's like a melting pot of multi experiences. That is a space that I call a social immersion space. That is the place where I want you to go into and start integrating in. Now, why? Why is this so important for you to go into that space? One, because right now you are in your comfort zone, isolation. The next, maybe you also now branched out into queer spaces and you feel comfortable. And you are still afraid or scared to go into space beyond that, the social strata, this bigger part of the sea, this bigger part of the ocean. You're afraid to take your ship to this bigger, think about it like an ocean. That's a great metaphor, actually. I can't believe I didn't mimic it to the picture. But think about it as taking your ship and sailing it without even knowing where you're going, without having destination and not knowing what you're going to embark, what you're going to confront, and know that you're ready and you're prepared to be able to handle it. Think about all the potential things you can discover by sailing to all of those spaces. Think about all the experiences you can gain. Social immersion and immersing yourself in those spaces is very important. One, it pushes you outside of your comfort zone. When you're outside of your comfort zone, you grow as an individual. It's very, very important for us as people to grow. But the two biggest benefits, remember how I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's two major benefits to immersing yourself in this bigger social strata. The two biggest benefits are this. Number one, it helps you get rid of or drastically minimize imposter syndrome as a transgender person. Isn't it wonderful? I know that a lot of you are struggling with imposter syndrome. A lot of you, when you go out there, you feel like you don't belong. You feel like you're trespassing. You feel like the world is not for you. Maybe it is using a bathroom that corresponds to gender for the first time may feel like imposter. Maybe it is just going out as yourself for the first time may feel like imposter. Imposter syndrome is very common and normal. And in fact, how can you not have imposter syndrome when these things are new for you? When you orienting this world in a body, in expression, in general, that is new to you, even though deep down inside it's not new. This is something that belonged to you probably from the moment you were born. The experiential sense of it, being able to experience for the first time, is still new, right? Now you're actually experiencing it outwards versus living it internally inside of your inner space. So it's going to be new for you. And because it is going to be new for you, a lot of you are going to feel these imposter feelings, which are very, very common. For those of you who don't feel imposter feelings, I think that's great. Good for you. I really do think it's wonderful. But a lot of us feel. I have imposter feelings every time I embark on something new. When I started this YouTube channel, I felt like imposter. I'm getting into speaking a part of my career to work up to be a keynote speaker. And I feel like an imposter sometimes. So imposter feelings are very common every time we challenge something new, especially when it has to do with experience and us being in saturated sense of that experience. So when you start branching yourself out and socially immersing yourself again and again and again, and using the bathroom that is aligned with your gender again and again and again, not just once, not the bathroom you used in queer spaces where you felt comfortable, but the bathroom you use out there in public. When you're able to again and again be out there among all other types of folks, all other types of genders, all other types of expressions, your imposter syndrome starts to quiet down because you start feeling comfortable. You start learning that you can handle the scenarios. You start realizing that most people don't give a shit. You also start feeling much more confident about yourself. That confidence leads to you feeling higher sense of value and self-esteem, which makes you accept your gender identity that much more, which further quiets down the imposter syndrome. And before you know it, you're navigating that social strata as if this is your next comfort zone, feeling very comfortable, feeling like you belong. This is why it is so, so important. This is number one reason why it's so important. Second reason why it is so important to push yourself into social integration, social immersion. In other words, immerse yourself in broader social experiences than just your isolating world and queer spaces is this. It helps you broaden your internal lens through which you see and interact with the world and through which you see and process and understand your experiences. Let me give you an example. For starters, I want you all to remember, you're more than gender. All of us are much more than our gender. Gender is just part of who we are. Because you are so much more than your gender, what's really important for you to keep in mind is when you're isolating yourself at home, and maybe if you're just only branching out to queer spaces, you're still seeing everything through gender lens. And because you're seeing everything through gender lens, you're interpreting everything that's happening to you automatically through that lens too. So when for the first time you branched out into social bigger strata of a space, you take your ship out there into big waters, the first time somebody looks at you, and even if they didn't mean anything by it, your brain will be quick to interpret it as, that's because I'm trans. They know I'm trans. There's something about me that is not working. I don't belong here. The reason why you feel that way a lot of times is because you're looking through gender lens. And gender lens is a dominant lens through which you see the world and through which you interpret why the world responds and interacts with you in a particular way. When you put yourself into social immersion and you saturate yourself with a whole bunch of different experiences, you realize there's more to you than gender. You start focusing so much on your gender and you start focusing on other parts of who you are, other parts of your personalities. You start focusing on fulfilling your aspirations. You start focusing on taking care of your health. You start focusing on relationships. You start focusing on growing your family. Whatever it is, you start focusing on that. And as a result of focusing on other things, your lens through which you see the world and you understand and interpret experiences broadens too. So you no longer see everything through gender lens. So when things happen to you, you don't automatically go, it's because I'm trans. You have a much more open-minded sense of looking through things. You're more likely to ask yourself, there could be multiple reasons why this has happened to me. Okay, it's like being at a grocery store at a checkout and somebody, I don't know, cuts in front of a line, and you're automatically thinking that's because I'm trans, they don't respect me. Or being so immersed in social strata where your lens is broader now, and you look at it and you say, okay, you know, this person may have multitude of reasons to cut in front of a line. Maybe they didn't see me there. And also it doesn't hurt to say, hey, excuse me, I was here before you. So this is why it is so important to push yourself, even though it's uncomfortable, into social strata. Of course, this is very important. Safety is always number one. If you watching this, and if you are in a part of country, if you are part in a world where it is not safe for you to put yourself, immerse yourself in social strata as transgender or non-binary person or a person of gender expression outside of a binary, always consider your safety. But for a lot of us who live in the United States, there are a lot of places in the United States where it is safe to do so. Where it is, even if you did it a little bit, it's still safe to do so. And it really helps you. It really helps you tremendously to, again, get rid or really quiet down imposter syndrome inside of your head. And two, to not see everything through the gender lens. Because trust me, you don't want to continue to see the whole world through the gender lens, because you become one of those people who are like, A happened because of B automatically. And it's all going to have to do with gender. This doctor canceled my appointment because I'm trans. Maybe they just canceled appointment because something came up with them. Doctors didn't comment on my comment because I'm trans. Maybe just doctors didn't see your comments. You know, YouTube sometimes it doesn't even post some of your comments. I don't know why. So the point I'm trying to make is that you want to be careful not to only have this one lens. You want to have multi lenses in order to understand your experience and social experience of others, and to understand yourself in the scope of this experience. And the only way to have multi-lens is to saturate yourself with those experiences. And the only way to do it is to take your ship from its base station and slowly start sailing there. Remember, your base station, your isolation, is still going to be your anchor. If it gets too much, you can still anchor yourself back into your isolation until you recoup and then do it again. I'm not saying you have to take your ship completely out there and get lost at sea. No, you can still go back. So this is why social immersion and social integration is so important. When to do it? Now. There is no particular, you have to do it in the beginning of transition, you have to do it mid-transition, you have to do it post-transition. This is part of life. By not being socially immersed, you're avoiding a big chunk of life, and it shouldn't be that way. So comment below, let me know, have you started socially immersing yourself in social experiences? What does it feel like for you? Was it terrifying to take your ship out there in the sails for the first time? What was the most scariest part about it? And has your gender lens through which you see and interact and all of your experiences broaden as a result of it? Comment below, let me know, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.